Okay, so we have another demonstration that I like to do in class, and maybe you can play along by pausing me after I reveal all the questions, and then you can kind of go through it. But what I wanted to do is make sure that you know what you're supposed to be doing during the task. So what you're going to do for each example is select an answer and then rate your confidence level. If you're just guessing, if you really don't know the answer and you're just flipping a coin basically and guessing, then say that you're 50% confident. If you are 100% confident, you absolutely know the correct answer, then give it 100%. If you're somewhere in between, if you're like, I think I'm right, but I have some doubt, maybe you'll say 90% confident. Or I think I'm right, but a lot of doubt, 75% confident, something like that. You can put any number between 50 and 100, okay, for your level of confidence. 50 means you're just guessing, 100 means you are completely confident. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reveal all the different questions. There's 15, and then you can pause me if you want to answer the questions, and then come back and I will show you the answers. Okay, assuming you're back, here are the answers. Okay, now what you want to do is count up how many you got right, and then you want to calculate the average confidence level across all 15 questions. So what that means is across all 15 questions, you're going to add up your confidence rating that you gave and then divide it by 15. Okay, so go ahead, you can pause me if you want. Get that done. Okay, so for those of you who are playing along, you want to reflect on whether if you got more of the questions right, or did you have a higher average confidence rating? So if you got, let's say, oh, I forgot to tell you one step on the calculating the one that you got right. So you're supposed to count up how many you got right and divide that by 15. That'll give you a percent. And then you can compare that to your average confidence rating. And what you're looking for is whether your accuracy was as high as your confidence was. For most people, we're more confident than correct. Most of the time we think we know stuff that we really don't know. That's what makes game shows so fun, is watching people who are playing trivia games. They're playing Cash Cab or something, and they still have some lifelines left. They don't have to commit, but they'll go, nope, I'm locking it in. I know that's the right answer. Oh no, I'm on the street. I blew it, right? We tend to be more confident than we are correct. Let me give you another example. Are there more English words that begin with the letter K or that have K in the third position? Begin with the letter K or have K in the third position? Well, in this case, what we're suffering from as we try and figure out the answer to that question is the availability heuristic. It's so much easier to think of words that start with the letter K that a lot of times we'll overestimate how many words start with the letter K. And it's so hard to think of words that have K in the third position. I tend to get stuck in a rhyming loop where I start to say things like make, cake, lake, bake, take, fake, and then maybe I'll switch a little bit. Hike, bike, like. Is mic a word? Oh, mic, well, microphone is MIC. Anyway, long story short, it gets hard. And so we think, well, it's so hard to do, there must not be that many to find in my brain. Whereas starting with the letter K, well, those were pretty easy to find. There must be a lot stored away in my brain. There must be a lot of words that start with the letter K. If it's easy to think of, we assume it must be common. That's the availability heuristic. So when we go back to these questions, a lot of times on the causes of death, the ones that we could think of more easily are the ones that we picked. So, we don't hear about all the accidents that people die of, but we do know, like, a person dying of a stroke is a pretty dramatic thing. So a lot of times people will pick strokes. Same thing with suicide, very, attention grabbing. Whereas blood poisoning, I mean, what even is that, right? Homicide or diabetes? Well, diabetes, you know a lot of people who are living with diabetes. You don't know anybody who's living with having been homicided, right? I mean, it's just so much more dramatic. So if it's easy to think of, we assume it's true. Same thing with which country has a larger population. Probably the ones that you've heard the name of or that you could visualize on the map. Those you probably rated those as having the larger population just because you could think of them more easily. Same thing with which one has a higher crime rate. Now, of course, the trick on this one is the higher crime rate per capita. So yeah, New York is not higher than Aurora because there's so many more people in New York, so it's per capita. All right, so that's what the availability heuristic tells us. Okay, let's play a different game. I got a picture of a guy from Eastern because I usually teach this class for Eastern Washington University, so please forgive my inappropriate example. Okay, unless you're thinking about going to Eastern, in which case, hey, come see me over in House 1. Anyway, okay, so let's say that you're taking a tour of whichever campus you're planning to attend for your upper division work. And you're seeing all the facilities, all the things that are amenities and things like that that you can use. And the tour guide takes you through the gym and says you'll have access to this gym. You can, here are lockers for your towels. And now, of course, whenever the football team's in here and stuff, we don't have access. So, just keep that in mind. And then he says, hey, here's one of our students right now. And he points out the bald-headed guy who happens to actually be an Eastern Washington student. Okay. Hey, here's one of our students right now. And he introduces this student to you guys, the group that's taking the tour. And he says about the student, would you think it's more likely that this guy here is an honor student or that he's an honor student and a football player? Which do you think is more likely? Now, I like to ask this one in class, and I usually like to make people vote on it using Socrative again so that people will vote without being influenced by their peers. Because a lot of times we don't know what the right answer is, and so we look around and see what everybody else is saying. Okay, but personally, you can think about it. Which do you think is more likely, that he's an honor student or that he's an honor student and a football player? Well, let's imagine that this is the whole universe of Eastern Washington students who are honor students. Let's imagine that this is the whole universe of Eastern Washington students who are football players. These circles are not drawn to scale, by the way. Okay, this little tiny area is the area that would be a football player and an honor student. So if we go with just strictly the probabilities, if we don't care anything else about anything that was asked of us,